Hello everyone, welcome to SIUK Nigeria, SIUK Nigeria seminar. We are now live with Loughborough University, and my colleague Chidinma from Nigeria office will give you a small introduction about today's seminar.
Thank you so much, Deepika. Welcome everybody to our webinar today. We're going to be hosting Loughborough University, and we have here with us Alicia, who will be taking us through everything we need to know about Loughborough University, the campuses, the area, everything, specifically the courses, if there are scholarships, and every other thing that will be beneficial to us as Nigerians. So right now, I'll be handing over to Alicia Butterfield so that she could tell us more about Loughborough. If you have a question, please type your questions in the chat box at the end of the webinar. We'll be visiting every question and we'll make sure that we answer all the questions. So as the webinar is going on, please drop your questions in the chat box. I would also like that everybody mutes their mics and put off their videos and concentrate on the screen. Thank you very much. Alicia, you can have the floor, please.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Chidinma, for the introduction. Thank you, Deepika, for the introduction as well. And a big thank you to the SI UK team for hosting Loughborough today. So it's my pleasure to be with all of you. My name is Alicia Butterfield, and I'm Regional Manager for Loughborough University. I'm covering today for my colleague Florence, who was meant to be coming back from Ghana. Florence and I have just spent about a week in Nigeria together, and she went on to Ghana, but unfortunately her flight was delayed. So you've come back to me again. So I'm regional manager. Florence is your international contact though. So what I can do is perhaps supply those details in the chat towards the end of this. If any of you do want to reach out to her, she'll be the one to assist you going forwards. In terms of the university, let me give you a little bit of background about Loughborough University and just tell you some of our details. We're a very old university. We were in fact a college and we started around 100 years ago. So the university has a long sort of history of working and engaging with industry and particularly with the engineering sector. So the university started just before the First World War. Nowadays, we're one of the top ranked schools in the UK, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. We received our Royal Charter in 1966, which is when England won the World Cup. There's no affiliation with that. It's just nice to remember the time when England actually won something. In terms of the size, Loughborough is a huge campus, but we're medium size in terms of student demographic. So we have around about 18,000 students, just over 3,000 of those are international students. This is what it used to look like. So this is the university taken in about 1930, this photograph. And you can see here that there are 2 buildings on campus with a central sort of oval point around a fountain. It doesn't look like this now. So before you start to panic and just think, oh my goodness, with Loughborough, there's nothing even there. This is not how it looks now. This is what it looks like now. And those same 2 buildings, these 2 buildings here, are now just to the left of that red oval that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. If you go to the left of that, that's those same 2 buildings. So you can see just how much it's all developed, how big our campus actually is. And the campus actually extends from the tower block on the left-hand side, right the way up to that building in the very top right-hand corner of the slide here. That building in the top right corner is a research and development centre. And located in there is Rolls-Royce, along with some other companies as well. So Loughborough has had a partnership with Rolls-Royce since 1935. We've had a partnership with Bentley. If any of you like Bentleys, we've had a partnership with them since 1910. We've had these very, very long established links with industry. And I'll tell you a little bit about Loughborough and employability later on in this presentation. But for now, this is our Loughborough campus. We also have a campus in London. So this is our London campus. We own a slice of the Here East building right in the very centre of this slide. And this campus is just 6 minutes from central London. So Javelin train straight into central London and you've got everything right there on your doorstep. This campus in London, this is not a franchise. It's not a satellite campus or anything like that. It is Loughborough University. We have Loughborough academics based on campus. To teach you. We've got Loughborough content in the programs and your degree certificate will say Loughborough University on it. So it's the same university, it's just in 2 different places. In terms of what we offer at London campus, we don't offer the same programs at each campus site. They are slightly different, so we're not competing with each other. So for the London campus, we have innovation and entrepreneurship, digital marketing and digital technologies. There's diplomacy, media and creative industries, sport business as well, and international management. So it is quite a different offering from our Loughborough campus. If you're interested in studying at Loughborough and you're not sure which campus your program might come under, all of that information is on our website. So if you type in your course title, it will show you exactly which campus you're going to be signing up for. But the general rule of thumb, if it's an engineering course, so let's say chemical engineering, mechanical, civil, or any other type of engineering or computer science, that will probably be the Loughborough main campus. If it is a digital technology program, or if it is a diplomacy program, it will be the London campus. Obviously, there are some big attractions in terms of studying in London. There are many, many students studying there at the moment. The good news is we have very good links between the two. So if you're based at the London campus, but you want to come to Loughborough, it's really not very far away. You can see from the map here, London to Loughborough is about 1 hour, 10 minutes. And then around Loughborough campus, we've got 3 major cities. We've got Derby, Nottingham and Leicester. And then from Loughborough as well, you can also get to Birmingham, and Birmingham you can fly to Nigeria via Amsterdam. So there are lots of transport options. In terms of the advantages or disadvantages of each campus, for Loughborough campus, we tend to say to students, it helps with the cost of living. As soon as you leave a city, the cost of living will be slightly lower. So that's one of the big advantages of our Loughborough campus, is that your rent and your living costs will be significantly lower than they will be in a major city. If you're looking at studying in London, obviously one of the big advantages there is that you've got industry right on your doorstep, and you can engage with our industry partners throughout your time there. So 1/3 of the London degree is actually a placement in industry if you want it to be. So that's the big advantage of each one. It's not to say we don't engage with industry at Loughborough, because we do, but we don't have an inbuilt internship within the programs at the Loughborough campus. So in terms of our values as a university, I won't labour these too much because some of you might be familiar with Loughborough already, but just to remind you of those, basically, we look at quality. So this university is in the top 10 of all the major league tables. So the highest ranking that was actually released about 10 days ago is The Guardian, and we're number 7 in the whole of the UK. When it comes to rankings, please be aware that there are 3 different types of ranking in the UK. There's The Guardian, the Complete University Guide, and the Times. So for us to be in the top 10 of all 3 of them, that indicates that we're good across the board. We're good across all areas. Research, experience, teaching, all of them are strong at Loughborough. In terms of the global rankings, we also have some subjects which are in the top tier of the global rankings as well. So there's something called the QS World Rankings. Loughborough is in the global top 150 in those rankings as well for our engineering subjects. So if you are an engineer, even if you're not so familiar with the Loughborough brand out in Nigeria, engineering companies in the UK certainly will be familiar with us. Again, finance and banking is very strong with us as well. So this is something which really helps, and it's a reflection of our quality that we have these rankings. We're also rated 5 stars for excellence in our research. So you know that the research output of Loughborough is going to be world changing, and I'll tell you a little bit about research projects we're doing in a little while. And we've always been rated very highly for student experience as well. In terms of teamwork, that's a strong Loughborough value, mainly because of our association with sports. And obviously a big part of sport is working as part of a team. But also we know that employers want students with what they call soft skills. And by soft skills, they mean things like teamwork, time management, confidence, those sorts of areas. And this does fit in with our values because of our very, very strong reputation for sport. Our values also include inclusivity, a sense of belonging for everybody. And testimony to this is the fact that Loughborough has had Nigerian students coming to us for 75 years. just over 75 years. So we've always had a strong heritage, even though we are a Midlands-based campus, and by that implication, the demographic tends to be white British students who are studying with us. Despite that, we've still attracted students from all over the world to come and study at Loughborough. And the good news is that when you come into the local community, the money that you pay in rent and your living costs and everything else, that's really appreciated by the local community, because it's not a city, it's a town that we're living in here. So the local community really welcome international students joining us. And then finally, our values, we like to think of ourselves as responsible as well. So making sure that our students feel accountable for their actions. And that's a big part of becoming more mature. It's a big part of entering the job market. Now, some of you might already have worked, so I don't want to talk down to you. I'll recognise that you understand that being responsible is a big part of success when you're being employed, but it doesn't necessarily translate. If you're a fresh graduate, sometimes the mindset isn't there. So what we try and do at Loughborough is bring on that sense of responsibility to our students. We also encourage our students, put yourself outside of your comfort zone and surprise yourself with what you can actually achieve. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail throughout this presentation. So in terms of the rankings, very, very strong performance from Loughborough overall. These are the universities that we compete with in the ranking system. So in terms of the rankings, we're up there with the likes of Durham, Imperial College, Warwick, and UCL. And all of us tend to swap places slightly within this within this ranking scale. Excuse me. So in terms of Loughborough being a leading university, I've talked a little bit about the league tables, but that's not the most important headline here. They are an important reflection of quality, but at the same time, it's what underpins the ranking that's really important to you. And what underpins our ranking for us is the experience that students have when they study at Loughborough. So we take very, very good care of our students. We've won the Best Students Experience Award every single year in a number of years. So we've won it 8 times since 2006, which is more than any other UK university. And this Student Experience Award measures how beneficial the students feel their time has been at Loughborough, both in terms of enjoying themselves, which it is important. We do want you to have a good time and to have fun, but also in terms of personal development and career development, and feeling confident to go for the kind of jobs that you should be going for as a graduate of a top university in the UK. We also take good care of our students when it comes to their physical and mental well-being. I know that wellness is sometimes a little bit of a woolly phrase that people use, and you're thinking, well, that's something that's nice to do, but it's not essential. I'll be well when I have a good job. That's going to be my number one priority in terms of wellness. We understand that. So employability for us is a priority. We've got an award-winning careers fair. We offer the largest careers fair in the UK. And the careers service at Loughborough is available to you for up to 3 years after you've graduated. So we take care of those practical concerns, getting a good job and making sure you're put in front of the right employers to secure that post. But on top of that, we also look after your wellness in terms of allowing you to do sporting activities, subsidising those sports activities by giving you a reduced cost when it comes to going to the gym. And we've got some award-winning facilities on Loughborough campus. They're Olympic standard for sport facilities. There's also a medical centre on campus. There's religious provision. So there is a prayer room. There's mosques in the local town. There's churches locally as well. So everything we do is steered towards making your experience at Loughborough as positive as it can be, because we recognise then you're much more likely to do better in your future career when you've had a positive experience. In terms of accommodation, this is relatively standard, so I'm not going to labour all of the points here when it comes to accommodation at Loughborough. In the UK now, student accommodation is relatively standardised. So you have your bed, you've got your study section of the room, you'll have a wardrobe, and then for some accommodations, you'll also have your own bathroom facility as well. So that's fairly standard. The thing that's different for Loughborough is that we have over 5,000 rooms actually on campus. So it's in a part of the campus called the Student Village. It's huge, and it's available to students. Again, we've got number 1 in the UK for the What You Need Choice Awards, which is nice. But we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you. So you can book your accommodation online. You've got very, very good sense of safety whilst on campus as well, because we are a very safe town anyway. But also we have a 24/7 security service who are there just to make sure the students are safe and that everything's going fine for you guys. And we guarantee accommodation for international students. If you're an undergraduate student, we can guarantee that for up to 2 years of your time spent at Loughborough. Every single room on campus is single occupancy, so you don't have to share your room with a roommate or anything like that. You've got your own space, and it's very affordable because the cost of living in Loughborough is a lot cheaper than it is in other parts of the UK. In terms of career and employability, as I mentioned, we've got an award-winning career service. And again, it makes us sound very full of ourselves, and I'm conscious of that when we keep telling you, oh, we're first for employer-student connections, and 6th for graduate prospects. What do those actually mean? Well, it is nice to have these shiny awards, but really look at the substance that gets us there in the first place. So when we say 6th in the UK for graduate prospects, there was a measure by the Complete University Guide of how many students get a job and within what time frame once they've graduated from their course. And at Loughborough, 97% of our students will get a job within the first 6 months of graduating, which is incredibly high. And lots of that goes back to the fact that we were a polytechnic university. We're not just an academic university. We were a polytechnic, which means it's hands-on working experience. You get your hands dirty if you're an engineer. You get to see how things actually work rather than just reading and writing about the theory of things. As I said, we also look after our students once they have already graduated. So if you change designation, let's say you finished and became an engineer, and then you decide you want to go into engineering management, you can come back to us. I think it says 5 years there, but it's actually 3 years after graduation. You can come back to us up to 3 years after you've graduated, and we will advise you for free. We've got an immigration lawyer whose advice is free, and they can assist you with your future career plans. For our undergraduate students, all of the programs at undergraduate level have got a placement opportunity. So that's a 1-year work placement in industry, which is paid. And of course, being part of the UK, we now have the graduate immigration route as well, which is known as the post-study work visa route. If you're an MBA student at Loughborough, you can also do the MBA plus internship. So the MBA is a triple accredited MBA. It's 1 year long. And then after that, you do 1 year internship. Once you've done the internship, after that, then your post-study work visa starts. And that's available to you for 2 years. So actually, with our MBA in Loughborough, you could get 3 years of working in the UK underneath different visa systems without needing to apply for a tier 2 visa. Some of these logos and labels we put on there, these are companies we have partnerships with. These are not just shiny logos that I've pulled off the internet to put in front of you today. So we work with the likes of PwC, not just in terms of them employing our students, although they do, but also we have PwC experts coming in to teach on some of our programs. So in the business school, some of the accounting for managers modules will have a PwC representative come in to teach on those modules. For Dyson, we work with Dyson in a design capacity and a mechanical engineering capacity. We've worked with the BBC, Al Jazeera, as I mentioned before, Rolls-Royce and Bentley, but then we also work with Chevron, BP, Total, big companies. And part of the attraction for them is that they know that Loughborough students are very high quality. And they know that they're high quality because quite often these employers will feed into the content of our programs. So if you're a student on aeronautical or automotive engineering, it's possible that Jaguar Land Rover are going to feed into some of the content of your program. So by the time you graduate, you will already know what issues that sector is facing, and you'll be very well equipped to hit the ground running. In terms of scholarships, so this is something we get asked a lot at Loughborough. Because of our ranking, as you can imagine, the school is not the cheapest option in terms of study. We're at the top end of the fee spectrum. So we do tend to get asked quite a lot about scholarships and how much they are. In terms of tuition fees for Loughborough, you're looking at probably £19,000 or £25,000 per year. If you're a master's student, of course, your study is just 1 year long. So we are at the top end of the fee spectrum. However, for this year, for this September or for January of 2023, so this year's intake of students, academic year intake of students, we are offering a 20% scholarship to all postgraduate students coming from Nigeria. So I hope that this is good news for any of you who are thinking of studying this year. If you have, we don't look to see if you've got a first class or a second class upper. If you apply to Loughborough for this year, you will get that scholarship. If you're an MBA student, then we have up to 40% based on your work experience. So that 40% reduction, if you're successful and you receive that, that will put the MBA cost in line with an MBA that's not accredited, whereas Loughborough's is accredited. So it's very much worth investigating if you can get that. Also, we have 25% scholarships for undergraduate students. So again, you'll be automatically considered. You don't need to apply separately. And then for London campus, although it's closed now for this year, we do have something called the Dean's Award Scholarship for the London campus. That will probably be running again next year. For that Dean's Award Scholarship, you just need a business idea. You don't need to actually be running it. You don't need to have set up your own business at this stage, but you do need to have had the idea. And then on top of that, we've got some sport support packages as well. What I would say in terms of fees and costs, please do look at the total cost of study, because what a lot of students will do is they look at the fees and they go, oh my goodness, Loughborough is pretty expensive. I'll look at somewhere cheaper that's within my budget. But what you forget sometimes is that the cost of living in some other universities is going to be much higher. So for example, if a university is near London, the tuition fees might be £17,000 because that university is in the top 50 of the rankings. But the living cost will be almost double what it is if you're staying at the Loughborough campus. So although our tuition fees might be £22,000 or £23,000, you make up the difference because our cost of living can be as little as £4,500 per year for your rent. That's very, very cheap. So if you need a breakdown of these things, please do talk to SI UK. These guys know the UK very, very well. They'll be able to assist you. But do make sure you look at the total cost of studying, and also bear in mind, if you're not staying in Loughborough campus, if it's not a campus environment, you might have travel costs as well. So even getting a tube round London, which is like the underground rail system, even using that, you could be spending £8 or £9 per trip just to get yourself from A to B. Whereas Loughborough campus, you don't have any travel costs because everything is held on the campuses. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to sort of give you an introduction to Loughborough without telling you a little bit about sport and what makes us special with sport. We have 4 football pitches on campus at Loughborough, and we have 4 rugby pitches as well. We're #1 in the world for sport-related subjects, and we have been since 2017. So very, very, very strong reputation for sport. There's the British University and Colleges Sport Competition that's been running for 40 years, and Loughborough has won that every single year for 40 years. So what does this strong association with sport actually mean? If you're not into sport, don't worry, it's fine. You don't have to be in order to study at Loughborough. We're very proud that we would have been 16th in the Olympics if we were a country. And that means that the training, technology and facilities at Loughborough is Olympic standard. So if I want to go for a swim, I can use the same swimming pool that Team GB trained in before the Olympics. And it's open to me, and it only costs £3 per session. So very, very, very cheap to go and visit there, and really nice experience as well. In terms of how this helps you with your future employability, as we mentioned, those soft skills can be developed, but there's also another wellness factor to that as well, and that's reducing stress. So you're listening to this, I'm sure, and you're thinking, well, what is the experience actually like at Loughborough? I was a Loughborough student. I did my MBA at Loughborough in 2016. And because of the ranking of the university, it is demanding. It is going to be an academic challenge to you. That's the whole point. That's why we have typical entry criteria of second class upper as a minimum for most programs. So it is a challenging experience. We're not trying to make you fail. So we're not trying to make it so hard that students don't get through. We're not trying to be elite to the point where it's tough on you and we make you stressed out and make your hair go grey or anything like that. But what we do want to do is give you a rigorous academic experience. And with that rigor, what I found very helpful was being able to do some sport alongside it, because sport is a great way of releasing some stress. And your studies can feel like they're getting a little bit hectic sometimes. So when I was a student at Loughborough, I was not an Olympic athlete, but I did do Zumba and I did Pilates and yoga. And then I tried kickboxing because I'd never tried kickboxing before. And I got into all sorts of sports, which I'd never even given a try before. So do make the most of it. If you're a student at Loughborough and you want to do some physical activity, we'd very strongly encourage you to do that. If you're not into sports, that's fine. There's lots of other clubs that you can take part in. There's the Afro-Caribbean Society, there's a Nigerian Society. It's not just for Nigerians either. So part of my hope is that when we have students coming to Loughborough from Nigeria, is that you will help to educate our UK students about where you're coming from, because very many of them will not have been exposed to Nigerian culture before. So please do come tell them about it. Encourage them to join the Nigerian Society as well, so they can learn even more. And this is part of the benefit of having international students. For every single person on campus, there is something that they can benefit from learning about different cultures. So that's my request to you lot. If you do decide to come to Loughborough, please do draw in the British students as well, because they're missing out by not fully understanding sometimes different cultures available to them. Quick overview then about Nigeria and Loughborough. This is me, Alicia. This is me in my local attire, which I think this photo is a few years old now. I certainly look fresh-faced and happy. So we have around 230 Nigerian students in total on campus. We've had students from Nigeria for over 75 years. So I had the great honour of meeting one of our oldest alumni, who is 95 years old, on one of my previous trips. And he was actually one of the very first, not the first, but one of the first Black students to represent the university in football. And he still had a photo of him in 1970 wearing his Loughborough gear and looking pretty young in that picture. So we have lots of graduates from around the 70s and 80s, because that's sort of post colonial development of Nigeria. So I think the UK gave lots of funded PhDs during that time. And what that means is you've now got lots of senior alumni who are 30, 40, 50 years into their career. Many of them are still talking about Loughborough very fondly, but also it helps you to know that there are senior people who recognise the value of a Loughborough degree, because they were Loughborough graduates themselves. So we have senior people in Chevron, we've got Bank of Nigeria, Central Bank, Jais Bank as well, Total, as I mentioned. So some very, very good links. And I'm conscious now, I've gone on for half an hour about how great Loughborough is, but we're happy to take some questions from you. And what I'll do is just come back here. So I hope that's been a good overview for you, but most of all, I just wanted to put across the kind of university it is. We're not trying to compete with the Russell Group universities. Excuse me. Loughborough, in fact, is not a Russell Group university, but we are ranked more highly than 3/4 of the Russell Group these days. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and perhaps Chidima can do me the honour of reading out some questions.
Thank you so much, Alicia. So we'll go into the questions and answer session now. We have questions from YouTube and questions here on Zoom. So I'll start with the first one. So Grace is asking that your London campus course for PhDs are limited. Do you have any PhD for social work?
Okay, so yeah, London campus is much smaller than Loughborough campus. So it's worth looking at both of them if you're looking at PhD. It depends on, you know, it's for a PhD topic, what we need to see is your proposal, basically, before we can advise. So we don't offer social work as a master's, but we could potentially offer it as a PhD.
All right, thank you.
Sorry,
So
really sorry, guys. I think I've got a bit of a cough going on.
Sorry about that. Really sorry. All right, so I'm going to go to the next question. I already have a conditional offer, but presently waiting for the PTDF scholarship for sponsorship. Can I still meet up for the September intake, or should I go defer to January intake?
Okay, congratulations on the offer. We're still open, so please let us know. Do we know when PTDF are going to announce?
No, we don't. So everybody's just hopeful and waiting.
Okay, I'm going to have to go and get some more water before I start coughing again. So I'm just going to turn my camera off just 1 second. But all I'll say is you're not too late. Hopefully they'll come through this year. You can leave it right up until September before you let us know if you're coming or not. So don't panic at this stage.
Okay. All right, we're going to have a 1-minute break. You can keep sending in your questions, and if you're just coming in, because I can see some people are just coming in. If you have any questions that you think that you want answered, you can have it here, so that Alicia can respond to them once she's back. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm going to go to the next question. 1 minute. In addition, can I send an evidence that I worked in an English language speaking organization as a proof of English? So this person is probably asking, paraphrasing, in place of IELTS, can they use their evidence of English language that they've worked in an organization for that?
No, but unfortunately that's a UKVI requirement, not a Loughborough requirement. So that wouldn't be enough. But if you've got a WIAC and it's within the last 12 to 14 years and you have a C6 or above, then we should be able to accept that.
All right, thank you. I want to ask, maybe every other person would want to know. There are some schools that say 10 years, after 10 years, the WIAC is expired. Is there a limit to that?
Yeah, I think once we get, so 12 to 14 years is Loughborough's sort of time frame. Once we get, if we're above 12 years, then we need to then have a letter from your employer saying that you use English as your business language. What we can't do, unfortunately, we can't accept WIACs, let's say they're 20 years or 16 years. That's too far beyond what the UKVI will allow us to accept. So we are trying to be as flexible as possible within the rules of the UK. If you're not sure, just I'll put my colleagues' contacts into the chat at the end of this, so it doesn't get muddled up with the questions in there. And if you're not sure if your WIAC is acceptable, send it to Florence and she'll tell you.
Okay, all right, thank you. So the next question, I would love to know the requirement for undergraduate students applying for nursing, somebody that has just WIAC.
You've picked like one of the programs that we don't have. I'm really sorry. So we don't have nursing or medicine or law at Loughborough. But if you're interested in nursing, if you're willing to look at biology, so you could study human biology with us, then you need ABB in your A levels typically, and one of them should be biology.
All right, thank you. Well, you've answered this question before, I'll just probably read it again. Is there any possibility or way out to get IELTS waiver for masters?
Yeah, so it's not only IELTS that we accept. First port of call will be your WIAC. So check that first and see how long ago that was, and make sure you have a C6 or above. If not the WIAC, then we accept TOEFL, we accept Pearson's. For this year, we accept Duolingo, which is an online test. So we don't want to send you to an IELTS centre, because I know how problematic that can be. So if we can avoid it, we will. But if there's no other way, then unfortunately an IELTS would be the ultimate proof that you can supply.
All right, just for people that usually get confused. So Alicia, can you confirm? Is it, there's the IDP IELTS, there's the UKVI IELTS, there's British Council, there's different kind of IELTS. So any IELTS is fine, or it has to be the UKVI IELTS.
It should be the UKVI IELTS. And I know I can totally understand why there's so much confusion. But if possible, for most of you, you will have a WIAC, or a NICO is also acceptable as well. So we don't see it very often that somebody is well out of date. It tends to be for PhD students who are coming as mature students when they took the WIAC too far back for it to be eligible. So please do send it. If you're not sure if it's in date or not, send it to us, and we'll tell you, we'll guide you.
All right, thank you so much, Alicia. So the student for PhD social work is asking, is there an October admission? And is it still possible to apply for October?
It's getting a bit close. So PhD applications can take around 8 weeks to be considered. And then on top of that, you then also have your visa processing time, which I'm sure the colleagues at SI UK will be able to tell you. At the moment, that's at least 6 weeks to get a visa, and there's no fast track option currently. So I think to take the pressure off yourself, you'd be better off looking for PhD start in January. And then that will just stop you from trying to rush everything. It's better to have a positive response than rush it and then just get rejection from our side.
All right, thank you. So this person is asking from YouTube, what are the 5 top employers for Masters in Hospitality? Who are the top 5 employers after completing a Masters in Hospitality?
Okay, so again, because Loughborough is quite a traditional university, we don't offer hospitality either. So I know that can be quite a popular one. What I would suggest, if you're a student looking at hospitality, you could study management instead. It's not specifically in the hospitality sector, but you can apply the learning on the management course to any sector that you want. So for example, when I was doing my MBA, I applied it to the higher education sector, but there were other people in my MBA class who were applying their knowledge to construction, to nuclear power even. So really, really broad. So in terms of management, so if you did MSc management at Loughborough, top employers, there will be the banking and finance sector. So I imagine for them, it would be PwC, or Goldman Sachs are 2 of our biggest partners. One of my Nigerian students got her placement with Goldman Sachs and ended up getting an offer from them as a business analyst before she'd even finished her master's. So she was 9 months into the master's and she got her a job offer. So Basayo was her name. She's a very, very strong student, but we're in demand basically by these employers. In terms of other management employers, really, I think probably the automotive sector is very strong, but that's just because of Loughborough's heritage. So as I mentioned, we work with Jaguar Land Rover, there's Bentley, there's Rolls-Royce, and Rolls-Royce don't just employ technicians, they'll employ finance people, managers, human resource managers, project managers, ops managers. So those would probably be our big 5, I'd say. But there's lots of other companies as well. If you want a full company list, you can go onto the course title, MSc Management, scroll down to the bottom, and it will have the latest destinations that students went to from that program.
All right, thank you so much, Alicia. So we're going to the next question. Can you tell me more about post-study work visas and if it applies to students coming from Nigeria?
Yeah, it definitely does. So the British government stopped offering this back in Theresa May's time as Home Secretary. Which was a completely ridiculous rule. And I know this session's recorded, but I'm going to say that anyway. So basically, it was something that was withdrawn as an opportunity for you to start. But in 2019, it was reintroduced. And this post-study work visa means that when you finish your degree from the UK, you can spend up to 2 years looking for a job in the UK under what they call the post-study work visa, or PSW for short. During those 2 years, you need to try and find a job. Hopefully you will get one. And then after that time, you can start working for that company. After the 2 years, your post-study work visa status will end. So you want that company to then sponsor you as a tier 2 visa person. So you're no longer under the umbrella of the university. You're no longer under the umbrella of a post-study student visa. You need to approach your employer and ask them to sponsor you as a tier 2 visa holder.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go to the next question. Your MSc HRM, does it give automatic student membership of CIPD?
I think you still need to apply to join, but you get subsidized membership of CIPD. You also get some exemptions from other programs as well. So if you're taking some finance modules, or if you're taking any modules that relate to the chartered institutes affiliated with that program, then you can get exemptions as well. So for example, graduating from the MBA, I became a chartered member of the Institute for Marketing. And all I had to do was let them know that I'd finished my MBA, and I sent them my certificate, and that was enough.
All right. And this was enough. Was it because you were already a British citizen, or it applies to everybody?
Sorry, you scrambled just then. I think the connection just went. Can you just repeat the question again? Sorry.
Okay, so I was saying the membership that you got, was it for just because you were a British citizen, or it applies to other international students too?
Oh no, it applies to anybody. So they don't distinguish. You can be chartered and be from any nationality background.
Okay, great. So another question: does the university accept HND graduate from Nigeria into their master's program?
Yeah, it will depend on which masters and what you got. So if you have an HND, if you have an upper credit in your HND, and if your academic performance in the HND was generally strong, so what we're looking for is no failed modules or resits, generally strong performance with an upper credit, and if you have some work experience that's relevant, let's say 1 or 2 years work experience, then we can consider you for masters.
Oh, great. This was really helpful, because I have some HND students, probably push them in. Okay. All right. So this person, good day. Is there a way we can get the school brochure in a PDF format for further inquiries, especially undergraduate studies?
Yeah, there is. Let me see if I can find where to get that for you, and I'll put it in the drop.
Okay.
I can do that whilst we're doing the next questions, if you like.
All right, that's fine. So how is the Masters in Business program in Loughborough University, Masters in Business?
So when people say, how is it? Of course, I'm going to say it's wonderful. So perhaps, give me a little bit of a guide on what is it you want to know specifically, because at any top 10 university, and it's a top 10 business school, any top 10 institution is going to have a really strong offering in that area. If it's useful to know, we've now got a new dean in the business school. So there is, for the first time, a female dean in our business school, and basically she can make some quite significant changes in her role as the dean. But if you want to give me a bit of guidance about what further information you might need, and then I can help you.
All right, so probably wait for a follow-up message on that while I take the other question. Can one still apply for the October admission at this time?
Yeah, we're still very much open. So you would probably need to be relatively quick with doing that. So I think, as I said, if the visa is taking 6 or 8 weeks to obtain, you need to be submitting your application as soon as possible. So we don't want to put pressure on you, because on the one hand, it's a big decision and it's important to make the right choice of university. On the other hand, don't wait until the end of July, because you've only got so many weeks to get your visa and everything sorted and get your accommodation sorted. So if you're thinking of studying this year, you will benefit from the 20% discount, which I mentioned earlier. It's not been approved for next year, it's for this year. So if you are thinking of applying, talk to SI UK. They might need you to send all your documents through, so you can at least get the ball rolling and get the application submitted.
All right, thank you so much, Elise. So I'm going to the next question. Do you accept students with a 5-year study gap, or study gap is not an issue for Loughborough University?
Sorry, say again. So do we accept students with a first year?
with 5 years study gap, students that have study gap?
Yeah, why not? I think, for us, we'll look at your academic performance. So as long as your school was strong, as long as your bachelor degree was strong, what you've been doing in between is up to you. We don't have any age restrictions or anything like that either.
All right, thank you. So this person is asking, are there installment plan, and what is the deposit that I'm supposed to pay for my first tuition to get my CAS?
Okay, so the deposit is £2,500. And I've just, by the way, just put a list of the courses through there. You can order a prospectus from the website as well. So just put your details in there and we'll send you one. But there's a course list on the website too. So deposit is £2,500. Throughout the course of the year, we then ask for payments in 3 installments. So there's November, January and May. And those 3 installments tend to be the same size. Now, we're aware that there are elections happening again in Nigeria early next year. If you've got any problems sending money out of the country, for example, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to kick you off the program because you weren't able to get the finances over to us. But what we do ask students to do is communicate with us. So if you arrive at Loughborough, you've paid your deposit, and then you're having trouble making that November payment because of money being sent outside the country, go to the finance office, explain to them, look, I'll be able to make payments early next year once the elections are concluded, and we'll introduce some flexibility around that for you.
All right, thank you so much. So I'll probably want to ask this because there are other students, and some of my students are actually struggling with this. So we know the Form A in Nigeria has been taking a while. Some it's taking like 3 months, 2 months, and would like to know if there's any alternative for Loughborough University. Students can send their Naira directly to the school, or any other alternative for deposit payment generally, aside the Form A.
Yeah, so I think I got the gist of that just now. So you were saying about, sorry, Naira being sent to the school.
Yes, so usually students pay with Form A from Nigeria, and that has been taking about 3 months to get processed. And so I'm asking, is there an alternative that is not as expensive? So other schools have Flywire, but that's quite expensive, black market price. And is there any other way that students can actually pay their tuition deposit?
Well, I think we're fairly standard. So most students will pay their tuition deposit by Flywire. But actually the rate of exchange, I know it's not so competitive, but it is just for that portion, and the rest of it, hopefully then when you get to the UK, you can set up your UK bank account, and then family can transfer the money into your UK bank account, or you can transfer your own funds into UK bank account next year and then pay us from there. Is probably the easiest way, but for deposit and things, Flywire is the main way.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I think this is the last question for today, and I'll probably ask some other questions that I know that students will also want to know. Must I secure an accommodation, or what must I do to secure an accommodation? So generally, how do they secure accommodation for Loughborough University?
Yeah, so basically it follows a process. So once you've got an unconditional offer, you've met all your conditions, then you need to firmly accept the unconditional offer and tell us that you're coming. We will then invite you to make your accommodation selection. So you need to fulfill some of those criteria before you are able to reserve your accommodation. The good news is that there's lots of accommodation available. And if you want to, you can also go private. So some students, for financial reasons, decide that they want to go down the route of private accommodation. It's cheaper, it's about 20 minutes from campus. And if you want to do that, you don't need to be unconditional with us. That's with a private landlord. But please be very sure that you are coming to Loughborough before you sign a contract for that private accommodation. Because in the worst case scenario, you sign your contract and then something happens with your visa and you don't get your visa, you're still signed up for accommodation that you then won't be using. So my advice, if you're thinking of going private with the accommodation, wait until you get your visa. I know it feels very last minute, But if you can, just hold off signing anything or paying any deposit before you've done that.
All right, thank you so much. So to round up the question and answer sessions, I have about 2, 3 questions that other students just joining in can benefit from. So does Loughborough University need bank statement for CAS, proof of fund for CAS, or after you pay your deposit, you get your CAS and then you move on to the visa stage? Would like to know that process.
It's the second one, so we don't need any proof of funds. Just pay your deposit and we can reflect that on the CAS statement.
Okay, I'm sure students are excited about that too. So another question is what some students are actually just joining in, so they'll Nigerian side scholarships or discounts or something like that. So I'd like to know what kind of discounts or scholarships are available to Nigerian students for people joining in, and if there are any automatic ones or they need to apply for the scholarships.
Yeah, so in normal times, so in normal years, we would have 10% if you get a second class upper and 20% if you get a first class. But for this year, because we know, it's the exchange rate is very tough. The whole situation has been very tough, and also it's hard sometimes to get your transcripts and everything. So for this year, we're offering a 20% scholarship, which you don't need to apply separately for, and you're eligible for that whether you have a first class, second class upper, or even a second class lower.
Oh, great. So everybody joining in now knows that. So and that's the end of the question. Vika, do you have any other thing to impute or okay?
No, just thank you to Alicia for joining in and sharing your knowledge with us and with the students. And if you have anything like any other questions to all the students, please feel free to contact our SIUK Nigeria offices. We'll be more than happy to help you.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you, everybody. Let me put my colleague Florence. So Florence Mutero is your point of contact at Loughborough if you're looking to apply to Loughborough. And I'm her stand-in today because unfortunately she's been delayed on a flight back from Ghana. But if you do want any information about Loughborough, feel free to contact Florence, and please copy in SIUK contacts so that they know that you've been in touch with us. And we really appreciate you turning up today and listening. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Alicia. I've put in the SIUK Lagos email address. If you need to go to Loughborough University and you want us to help you make application, our services are free. So you can email us at lagos@studyinuk in the comment section, and we'll put in your application for you. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. See you later. Bye.